5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
With that, welcome to your Media Mosh Podcast. I am your host, Shane Beauregard, coming at you with all your news, reviews, and previews. I want to watch on your streaming services and your television. Coming at you someday in August. That's where we're at, folks. It has been amazing. We've been on lockdown since March, and it is already almost midway through August. Unbelievable. But I'd like to thank everyone who tuned in last week, and I am sorry. I did a live episode on Facebook, and I did not have that episode up available to download in the Apple Podcast Store. So I do apologize for that. But let's just get rolling on with some news for you. Disney Plus just announced they're going to drop Mulan available to rent for $29.99. And I believe it was like September 4th or the first week of September. That is ludicrous. $30 is ludicrous. I understand what they're going for. They're going to lose money because it's not seen in the theater. I get it. Because if I were to take my kids to see this movie, and I absolutely 100% do want to see this movie. But, so, four kids, Jesus Christ. 4 people to go to a movie theater, it's way over $30. So I understand what they're thinking here. But you know what? The bottom line is, my TV's not a theater screen. So I am not paying $30. At most, I would honestly pay $10. Maybe 15, but that's about it. So I just will wait probably the year it takes for them to actually provide that for free on Disney Plus. Let's see. Captain Marvel 2 has got a new director, Nia DaCosta. I don't know what else to say about this. She did the new Candyman movie that was supposed to come out this summer, and I can't find it anywhere, so I don't know if they released it to straight to video yet, if they're holding back and will release it later in the year. But I will say, I'll give Marvel this, that takes some balls to do that, because she's directed one film, and we don't even know if it's good yet. And she gets attached to this big project. All right. For all you high fidelity fans on Hulu, the Hulu series based off the John Cusack movie, based on the book, is coming to an end after season 1. They decided not to renew that for season 2. But I do have some good news for all you Peacock fans out there. So Will Forte will be again reprising his role as MacGruber for a 2021 Peacock TV series. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'll go toe-to-toe with anybody out there. I liked the MacGruber movie. It was way better than I thought it would ever be. It is probably one of the better SNL movies. I'm not saying top 5 or anything like that, but it's surprisingly good. If you have not seen MacGruber, go check it out. It is worth your hour and a half. John Wick 4 and 5. We knew 4 was coming, but they're filming the 5th one back to back. As much as I love Keanu Reeves, as much as I love John Wick, enough's enough. Enough is enough. Like, what more can you do to the guy? At the end of the 3rd one, he literally gets thrown off a fucking building and ricochets like 10 times on his way down, and he's still alive. So I don't know. Like the 5th one, enough's enough with that. Amazon Prime is going to be shooting a League of Their Own series based on the very popular Tom Hanks movie, and Gina Davis as well. Don't want to leave her out. That is slated for 2021 as well. Coming up, you're going to have some kind of DC event, and I'm sorry I don't have more details on it, but apparently they're going to be dropping a lot of trailers. Wonder Woman, the Zack Snyder cut that seems to be going on. I think he said it's about 4 hours right now, which is freaking ridiculous. So anyway, that's going to be coming out soon. So I'll get you more news on that when it gets closer to it. I'm trying to think if I left any news off. I think that is about it. Oh yeah, and this is the age we live in. I'm sorry. I'm about to go on a slight little rant here. I normally don't get fired up over these things because we do live in a touchy, sensitive world where everyone has to feel special. Well, somewhere in Portland, which shouldn't be a shock to anyone, They were running a summer series of movies at their drive-ins. And they were slated to show Kindergarten Cop, 1990s Kindergarten Cop. Someone wrote an article about it, highlighting the fact that it pretty much puts over policing, and they compared it to some other films that are banned because it puts cops into good light. Are you fucking kidding me? And the drive-in theater pulled it. They pulled it from their venue. This is how you stop cancel culture. Stop fucking giving in to them. Just stop. It's ridiculous. It is a kid's movie. And fuck whatever asshole actually wrote that. I think he was like an author or he's a fucking journalist or some bullshit. But when you watch these movies or you see a title, that's where your mind goes and you connect those dots. Get a life. Get a life. But that's how you truly stop cancel culture, because I hate cancel culture. Don't listen to them. Stop fucking canceling shows. Stop firing actors and actresses for stuff that I think is very unnecessary. Get over it. Get over it. God, this world right now sucks. There's very few good things about the year 2020. And if this is the road we're heading down, I might as well just pack my bags now and move up to Wyoming and just live on a fucking ranch for the rest of my life, because this shit is ridiculous. Okay, end rant. I'm done. Sorry for all the curse words. Okay, so Netflix next week, you have the new Jamie Foxx, Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie Power coming out on the 14th. They dropped a whole host of older movies. Like, one of them is A Never Ending Story, which I watched the crap out of when I was a kid. And I thought maybe my 9-year-old would get into it, but then I was thinking about the movie, because, my 6-year-old would want to join in. That movie's kind of dark for a kid's movie. I was thinking about the fucking horse dies in the swamp. You got the nothing coming after him. I believe there was a scene where this big turtle just let the nothing take him. So I was like, I'm going to hold off on that one for now. So put a pin in that, and we'll go back. All right, let's go to your box office for 20 years ago. 20 years ago, this week in August. Number 5, What Lies Beneath. Third week in release, bringing in $13.3 million. I believe that was the Harrison Ford, Michelle Pfeiffer vehicle, if I'm not mistaken. Number 4, first week in release, Coyote Ugly, bringing in $17.3 million. Number 3, also first week in release, you have Space Cowboys, bringing in $18 million on the dot. Number 2, second week in release, you have The Nutty Professor, bringing in $18.1. And number 1, Kevin Bacon ruled the box office with Elizabeth Shue in Hollow Man. First week in release, bringing in $26.4 million. What a crappy weekend at the box office it was 20 years ago. Jesus. Let's head on over to the Netflix side of things and bring you the top 10 streaming movies and shows from Netflix. Number 10, you have The Last Dance. Number 9, Jurassic Park. Number 8, Dennis the Menace. That's right, Dennis the Menace is number 8. Number 7 is Sell the Sunset, which is a realtor show on Netflix. Number 6, you have the animated Wizards, Tales of Arcadia. Number 5, you have the Showtime show Shameless. Number 4, you have another animated film, The 7 Deadly Sins. Number 3, the Netflix original show Work It. Number 2, the Netflix documentary World's Most Wanted. And number 1, the Netflix original show Umbrella Academy. And that, in fact, has been number 1 for the past couple days. And I will give you my thoughts on that show here in just a couple minutes. Like I said, Project Power is going to be the big movie coming out Friday. Also on Hulu right now, you have The Peanut Butter Falcon, which just came out a couple weeks ago. If you have not checked that movie out, go check it. It's one of the better feel-good movies I saw all of last year. And yes, it is a feel-good movie. And do they overdo it? Yes. Is it cheesy? Yes. But it works. So go check it out. Coming out on Amazon Prime, in fact, this week, you have the Tom Hardy vehicle Capone, which I am very intrigued with. It got very mixed reviews, and I heard it was just bananas. So I'm going to check that out this week. Actually, probably will review that rather than Project Power, because I'm sure that's what everyone's going to be doing this week. So let's jump into what I watched, which I ended up watching a lot of television this past week, to be honest with you. I caught up on StarGirl. I finished the first season of StarGirl. Now, I'm not going to give you a full review. I just will say it did maintain that level of fun throughout the whole series. It got a little nutty towards the end. Once you find out what the plot of the Injustice Society was, which is basically the plot of X-Men 1, kind of. They use this big machine to broadcast out to wipe people's minds to get them thinking a certain way. One of their villains hooked himself up because he's a telepath or something, and think Charles Xavier, and they're trying to brainwash everybody. So yeah, it had a very X-Men 1 feel to it, but I did enjoy it. You finally got to see Solomon Grundy, and yeah, it was a CGI mess, but I will admit it looked better than I thought it would. Like, some of the effects are what they are because it's a CW show, and that's just, you got to deal with that aspect. But I did like they put a pin in it in the first season. They introduced a couple new villains towards the end. Shade, I think, is one of them. But they better not ruin season 2. They better fucking not, and I'll tell you why. Because at the very last scene of this show, in walks Joel McHale. I was like, gosh damn it, Joel McHale. He better not ruin season 2 for me. I might not even watch. If he's involved, I might not even watch. I'm serious. I can't stand that guy. Don't ruin StarGirl for me, you son of a bitch. Okay, moving on from Joel McHale. But StarGirl, if you haven't checked it out, go check it out on the CW or the DC streaming service. 13 episodes. Good, fun family show for you guys to get into out there. Now, let's get into the first show. I did finish Doom Patrol as well, but I'll have a better, fuller review for you next week as I really collect my thoughts on that. I just finished the last episode today. Told you, I did a lot of catching up. I'll have my full review of Doom Patrol next week because there's a lot to dive into there. But I got caught up with the new Transformers War of Cybertron trilogy out on Netflix right now. It's an animated show. Sitting at 100% critic score with an 87% audience score. It's only 6 episodes. It's about 25 minutes per episode, so it's a really quick watch. I ended up watching this like in 2 nights. I'll tell you what, off the bat, it's a very visually stunning show. I did like the animation. I can't describe to you or break it down how it was, but it was visually well done. Sound effects were great. So it picks up on the war between the Autobots and Decepticons, so that's nothing new. But I will say they did throw some twists in there. So you have Civil War going on in Cybertron. Optimus is looking for the Allspark, which again, this is very familiar territory. But what I liked about it is really, I was kind of surprised the first episode, Megatron is kicking the shit out of Optimus Prime. Like, fairly easy too. Come to find out, like in this iteration of the show, the Decepticons far outnumber the Autobots. Think of the Autobots as like a handful of ragtag guerrilla troopers out there led by Optimus Prime, where Megatron's hell-bent on just pure genocide. He wants to wipe the Autobots off the map of Cybertron. So it's a very interesting take. And you have Bumblebee here who plays a key role, and he's actually neutral. He's not an Autobot or Decepticon, was something new to me. Now, I'm not the biggest Transformers head, but I did grow up watching the cartoon. But as far as anything outside that original movie in the 80s, in the shitty Michael Bay movies we got, I may be missing something is my point. So, but the strong writing in this, there's a lot of character arcs. They do take deep dives into certain issues, so it's not just like a cartoon on face value. It's a well-written, visually stunning show that I got really into. I mean, I did. I like the way they made the Autobots and Decepticons in this kind of role reversal, so it's not like an equal footing. Autobots are definitely the ones struggling here and hiding underground. It goes deeper than your average cartoon, so I really enjoyed it. And again, 6 episodes, 25 minutes, well worth your time. Now, I would like to hear back from true Transformers fans on how they felt about this show compared to what they've been given in the past, like, say, 10 years or so. I don't know when the next episodes are going to drop, because apparently, this is me, folks, I'm kind of dumb this way. I was like, yeah, I can't wait for the next season. And of course, they already laid out, it's a trilogy, so I'm assuming they're going to release them in 6 episode batches. I can't wait for the next batch of episodes to come out, because I'll hop on that. It's one of the better animated shows on Netflix now. Not as strong as Castlevania, but definitely this one's way more kid friendly. Though my kids wouldn't get into it. They don't get into it. They don't care. So anyway, I agree with the critics and the audience in here. I'll give Transformers War of Cybertron trilogy a 4.5 out of 5 for me. Well worth the 3 hours you'll spend watching this. Now, let's get into the main show I ended up wrapping up this past weekend was The Umbrella Academy Season 2, which is 90% critic score and a 90% audience score, and this is going to be spoiler free. So you're going to have to excuse me as I stumble my way through this nonsensical review here. So it picks up right where Season 1 left off. And I understand, like, everyone's not into this show. I get it, because some of the characters are very unlikable. And I do have a tough time watching certain characters in this show. In fact, I kind of fast forward through some of their plot points because I just don't give a shit about them. But anyway, it picks right up after Season 1 lets off. The apocalypse is coming, so they time jump. But they end up time jumping back to the 60s. And I'm going to have to go back and watch like the first 10 minutes because I got very confused with the whole time jumping and time traveling aspect because they all got separated. But I could have swore they got separated into certain months during that same year. And then they all end up together. So it was very confusing for me, but it's 1963, 62-ish. JFK plays a big role, or he's a big backdrop to this season because all the brothers and sisters are somehow connected to the whole JFK Jack Ruby situation there, the assassination of Kennedy, which I thought was an interesting backdrop to play the season against. So you have all the siblings separated. They all establish their own lives. But the problem is the apocalypse follows them back to the 60s. And it's Five, again, who has to figure out how they're going to get out of the situation. So he's the main driving force of the season. You have Vanya, who, when she time jumps, she ends up getting hit by a car. And she has amnesia. She doesn't remember anything. And she ends up on a farm, which is introducing two new characters, Sissy and her son Harlan, who they kind of take Vanya in, and she's kind of part of the family. And she's actually having a good time and living a good life out there. You have Luther, who ends up being an underground boxer and actually works for Jack Ruby. Diego ends up in a loony bin. You have Allison, who is part of the black movement in Dallas at the time. So she's actually married, and she sent a protest, like a sit-in. Then you have Claus and Ben, who actually form a cult out in San Francisco. And then returning characters, Kate Walsh, she's hot. She comes back as the handler. And another new character this season is Lila. Is in the loony bin with Diego, and they escape together. And that's where all the siblings are at right now. So, and then of course you have the father figure, Reginald, and his doings back in the 60s. So it's very interesting. Like I said, I enjoyed most parts. I'll be honest with you, like the character Claus gets on my nerves. The character Klaus gets on my nerves. Luther plays a little more goofier role this time around. To me, Umbrella Academy fires on all cylinders once you have all the siblings together. And that happens towards the last couple episodes. Up until then, it does have the beginning of the series has a pacing issue. It just a little too slow. It's eight episodes. I think it's 8 episodes. They probably could have cut it down to 6. But I do like Vanya's storyline. Luther, even though it was goofy. My favorite, though, I'll be honest with you, is Diego. I like he brings a lot of humor to the role, and his new sidekick Lila brings a lot of humor to the role. I like it. We do discover something new about Diego towards the end of the season, which kind of came out of nowhere for me. That was cool. But I will say I was disappointed when we finally find out about Reginald, because there is a big reveal with him, I think like in the 5th or 6th episode, which at first I was like, really? Come on, man. But then it makes sense if you kind of sit back and see how he raises his kids, how he doesn't have a lot of emotion. And I'm not giving anything away. No, he's not a fucking robot, so or a clone or an android or anything like that. But when you sit back and really take it in, it does make sense. Now, throughout all this, the handler has a group of Swedish brothers that she unleashes on the family trying to kill the Hargraves. So you have that going on as well. I did like the second half of the season more than I liked the first half. Yeah, the time travel stuff does get a little confusing, but to me it's well worth the time. I actually enjoyed it a little bit more than the first season, but I kept thinking as this season wrapped up, especially with like the last scene, I'm like, I don't know how much further you can go with this show, and you'll understand if you watched it. I'm like, I don't know how many times I could watch a show based on time jumping. Even though Quantum Leap was fucking awesome, this is a little different. But no, it's like this. They end up in kind of like the same situation. Again, strong series. It's funny at times, and the action kicks in at the second half, which is where I picked up most of my enjoyment for the show, except for the Klaus part. But yeah, that's it. I agree with the critics. I would give Umbrella Academy Season 2 a 4.0 out of 5. Again, I enjoyed it a little bit more than I liked the first season, but both solid. But I get why people don't like this show, because it is quirky. And the other thing I'll say is, like, they all seem to, even though they're all there to support each other eventually, there's a lot of bickering, a lot of arguing, and sometimes you just don't like them. They come off as just unlikable a lot of the ways because they're very selfish individuals, but they do have each other's backs when it counts the most. So 4.0 out of 5 for me for Umbrella Academy Season 2. And like I said, next week I'm dead set on watching Capone. I did finally finish watching Kingdom as well. See, again, Kingdom, StarGirl, Doom Patrol, Umbrella Academy, and Transformers. There is a lot of TV involved, TV shows involved this week, folks. So that's it. That's my show. Again, I do apologize for missing you guys last week, but thank you again for all the people who hopped on live. And I am going to do that again in a couple weeks. And we're going to break down John Cusack's career, and that should be a lot of fun. I'll give you my top 5 John Cusack movies, and we'll just have a whole discussion based on that. So I do appreciate it. Everyone have a great week. Stay cool. Stay safe. Until then, go to my Facebook Media Mosh page. More importantly, go to the Apple Podcast Store. Download me. Share me with your friend. I guarantee you he'll thank you for letting me into his life. And then circle back around and check out Mr. Arg myself, Chris Rodell, on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. 3 different platforms for 3 different types of content. Until then, get caught up. Get caught up in the mosh.